Well, it's official. The allotment has been properly thrashed. Over the past few days, we had a storm whip through the islands. On a good day, it's a challenge to grow up here because we are on the side of a hill here on the glen, so it is a little bit of a wind funnel that whips down and makes growing anything that's tall like sunflowers very difficult. But to be fair, I think that this kind of signals to me that it's time to wrap up the garden, the allotment garden at least, for the winter. And it's a little bit of a relief because, as you'll know, we have a new house this year and a new garden in the back, and there are some projects that I want to get accomplished before spring. And so the plan is that I'm going to put the allotment garden to bed for the winter, do some preparation now, and then leave it to rest, and then come back again in the spring. You know, I say that, but I will definitely be up here. Don't worry, I will be showing you what's going on here through the winter. But as far as doing any kind of major works, I'm going to get it done now in the next 6 weeks or so, and then move on to some of those projects that I want to get finished at home. So I've been up here in the past week and I've done a little bit of work. Oh, what was that? There was a little animal that just came past here. I love being up here because it is so much out in nature. It's a positive thing. A lot of people here moan about, you know, the pheasants that come up here, me included, but it is a wonderful, wonderful place to garden out basically in the middle of nowhere. But in any case, I have been up here working and I have got some things done and I have some things to show you. And I want to talk about plans that I have for getting the allotment ready to go to sleep. Gosh, there's leaves all over the place. This will make really good leaf mold if I collect it all up, but right now it just makes everything look a little bit untidy. One thing that I have done this week is remove some of the strawberry plants from the strawberry bed. So the 2 rows that were down the center, they were the oldest plants, so they were 3 years old, and it's recommended that you replace strawberry plants every 3 years just to maintain productivity. They'll still produce a few berries after 3 years, but it'll be less and less as the years go on. So this year I planted 2 rows of Mara de Bois strawberries, and I'm really pleased with them. They're a day neutral strawberry, so they put on 2 crops a year, one earlier in the summer, and they actually have berries on them right now. So they're not a huge cropper, but I love that there is that second crop and they are very sweet. I would like something else though. So I'm looking for maybe a larger cropping, bigger berry, maybe just a June bearing variety to put in the center here. And if you have any suggestions for me, please let me know down in the comments field. So what type of strawberries do you grow? And if there's one that you would recommend for, say, a massive jam making session. So the plan is that this is going to be fully mulched again very soon, waiting for a manure delivery at this very moment. And then I will be ordering some bare root strawberries and putting them in early next year. One thing that I wanted to show you a little bit closer up is the soil down here. I haven't dug this bed in a good while, so this last year I just put a top layer of mulch, horse manure on, and you can actually see the mulch a bit more over here. So this is some unbroken down horse manure. It's very old, it doesn't smell or anything like that. There are very few worms at this site, so there is still quite a bit of mulch over here that I can see, but where I pulled up the strawberries here, there's a lot more bare soil, but you can see it is a much nicer texture thanks to all of the mulch. We're getting another load of horse manure in, and so I will be covering this soil with a good couple of inches of that very, very soon. You know, speaking of compost, about 2 years ago I put down a mulch of fresh wood chips down to create these paths around my beds, and now you can barely tell the difference between my bed here, that up until recently had carrots growing, and this path here, and the wood chips have all broken down, and actually underneath it is quite fine. So what I'm definitely going to be doing is removing the wood chips from the paths after my beds have a new layer of manure mulch on top, and then scooping it on top. And then once all of these old wood chips are off the pathways, we have a new delivery of wood chips out here in the allotment, and I'll be putting down some new wood chip paths. So those wood chips have been fantastic. They've created really nice, pretty cottage garden style pathways through my allotment over the last couple of years, and then they've also created a really nice substrate to put in my garden beds as well. This bed looks a lot different to what it looked like earlier in the summer. My carrots were growing up there under veggie mesh. Then I had my beans on bamboo canes. Earlier in the spring and early summer, I had my garlic and some onions growing down there, and then they were replaced by summer squash. And now it's totally cleared and ready to be mulched. And I did have to dig the carrots out a little bit up here. They needed some help getting out. But all of the compost or the manure compost that I put on earlier in the year and last winter, it's all gone now. It's all down in the soil. So it really needs more protection and feeding on the top. Now, I also did a bit of an experiment this year. If you recall, earlier in the year, I found some parsnips at the garden center in modules, and I'd heard and I knew what would happen, but I'd never tried it before. This is what happens if you buy carrots or parsnips in modules and plant them out. Whenever their roots touch the side of a module, so a plant pot, or indeed a rock, they twist up and curl like this, and you just get monstrous looking, it almost looks like celeriac, to be honest, but it will be impossible to peel and prepare these in the same way that you would, your traditional parsnips. So this is just a word of warning that if you ever see those in a garden center, do not buy them. If you're thinking about adding some more soft fruit to your veggie garden, I would highly recommend getting thornless blackberries. And I have a video showing how to make this really simple trellis to grow them on. But these have been fantastic in creating a boundary fence at the bottom of my plots, and a windbreak, so they act as a windbreak, and the berries are probably double the size of an ordinary blackberry and super sweet. And then best of all, they are thornless. And there's a full video showing how I made this last winter, and you can see now what it looks like. These greens here are a type of spinach. They're an oriental type of spinach. And the leaves are not as tender, I would say, in feeling as spinach that we might be more used to here in the supermarkets. But it's hardy and it's growing in autumn, and I'm going to pick some of this for supper, along with some turnips and some beets. So I've got some down here. Something like that will roast up really nicely with some carrots. And I have all my carrots at home now. I dug them up earlier in the week. Some beetroot. I've got a little one and a big one. And I have some at home as well, so I'll only pick this. And these can be roasted as well. And the greens, I love eating beet greens. They taste just like chard in a way, a bit more earthy. And these came from a seed packet that was just mixed beet variety. It was also rainbow beets. And I imagine these ones are the ones that have white and red kind of concentric circles inside when you cut it in half. Now, a lot of the remaining root veg and greens that I have in the allotment right now, I will just leave them standing. The carrots could have actually stayed in, but I wanted to get them out before I manured and added compost to that particular bed. But these guys, they'll stay in the ground all winter long here on the Isle of Man. We've got really mild winters, and it's one of the best ways of storing them for me. And those greens will stay on there for a while as well. And then also, if you leave beets or chard in the ground over winter, in the spring they will send up really early green shoots, and I do that each year, especially with the beets. So you don't have to dig everything up all at once. It's all a bit soggy here at the allotment garden, but I have enough greens for supper. We've got some ruby chard, some kale, tender stem broccoli, some that has gone into flower as well, which is still edible, oriental spinach. I've got some dahlias that are windfalls, and of course the greens that were on the beets that I just pulled up. So that will make a really nice medley of greens for dinner later on. The plan next year is to have all of this growing in the home garden, so I can just go outside and pick it on demand pretty much. And then the allotment garden will be about potatoes and cabbage and onions and garlic. And I'm still waiting for my onions and garlic to arrive. It has been, what, 2-3 weeks since I ordered it. I'm just wondering, is it just me, or is everyone else having a delayed delivery of their onion and garlic sets this year? So this year we've got quite a few things, or I've got quite a few things that I need to do here in the garden. So my paths, my mulching, getting the onion and garlic sets out. There is a lot more, I think, to do than I initially was thinking about earlier when I started filming. What kind of things are you planning for your garden though? So what kind of things are keeping you busy right now? Are you creating leaf mold and compost and clearing up other bits of the garden? Let me know as a comment down below what the state of your garden is. And I will be back next week with another garden video. And in the meantime, do check out my recent DIY garden video that I put up just a couple days ago. It's more of a fun indoor gardening project with succulents. And I think that you'll find that quite fun, maybe even in winter. So definitely bookmark that. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you next time. Happy gardening.